The great crystal chamber floated in the void between two burning suns. Inside the massive structure, 5 different species gathered around a circular table that glowed with soft blue light. This was the Galactic Council, the most powerful group in known space. For 3,000 years they had kept peace across 700 worlds. Elder Vextal stood at the center of the room. His tall, thin body moved with grace as he adjusted his flowing robes. The Zephyrian's large eyes scanned the faces of the other council members. His people could read minds, but today he felt troubled thoughts from everyone present. "My friends," Vextal began, his voice echoing in the chamber, "we have gathered to discuss strange reports from our outer territories." Commander Zark clicked his mandibles together, a sign of concern among his insect-like species. The Vrak Collective had always been the military arm of the council. His hard shell reflected the chamber's light as he leaned forward. "The reports are troubling," Zark said, his words translated by the Universal Communication System. "Our scout ships have found things that should not exist." Beside him, Admiral Nethua's tentacles moved slowly through the water in her transparent tank. The Nautiloid's voice bubbled through the liquid as she spoke. "Our deep space patrols have discovered derelict vessels bearing unknown markings. The metal is strange, not like anything we have seen before." The 4th member of the council remained silent. Chronari Lord Silex was made of living crystal, and his thoughts moved slower than the others. When he finally spoke, his voice sounded like grinding stone. "The energy signatures do not match our databases. Something new moves in the darkness." The last council member was harder to see. Lumina Representative Brightstar existed as pure energy, appearing as a shifting cloud of light. Her voice came from everywhere at once. "The quantum disturbances grow stronger each day. Whatever caused them is getting closer." Vextal nodded and activated a holographic display above the table. Images of twisted metal and strange symbols filled the air. These artifacts were found near the Kepler Nebula. Our scientists have been studying them for weeks. Zark's compound eyes focused on the display. "The construction methods are primitive yet effective. The materials are common metals forged in ways we do not understand." "Look at these symbols," Admiral Nethua said, pointing with one tentacle. "Our translation computers cannot decode them, but there are similarities to ancient texts in our archives." BR. Hologram changed to show old stone tablets and metal plates covered in similar markings. These artifacts came from different worlds, all discovered during archaeological expeditions over the past century. "The connection became clear when our researchers compared the symbols," Vextal explained. "They all reference the same thing. A species that exists only in our oldest stories." Lord Silex's crystal body rang like a bell as he shifted his weight. "You speak of the human myths." The word human caused silence to fill the chamber. For all 5 species, humans were creatures of legend. Ancient stories told of bipedal beings who could survive anywhere and adapt to any challenge. The myths claimed they were neither the strongest nor the smartest species, but they never gave up. The stories say they lived on a world of impossible variety, Brightstar said, her light flickering with uncertainty. Frozen poles and burning deserts, deep oceans and high mountains. No single environment could contain them. Admiral Nethua's tentacles curled with worry. "In our legends, humans could form bonds with any species. They saw similarities where others saw only differences. Our myths speak of their technology," Commander Zark added. "They built machines that worked through trial and error rather than perfect design. Their weapons were crude but devastatingly effective." Vextal gestured to the display again. "According to our archives, humans were said to possess something we call the adaptation gene. They could change their behavior and thinking to match any situation." Lord Silex's crystalline form chimed softly. "The Chronari stories tell of humans who could communicate without telepathy, who built trust through actions rather than mind links." "But these are just stories," Brightstar protested. "Myths created by primitive civilizations to explain things they could not understand." Vextal touched the control panel and new images appeared. "Perhaps not just myths, Our deep space telescopes have detected something moving beyond the galactic rim, a large group of objects approaching our territory. The objects in the hologram were clearly artificial. They moved in formation, suggesting intelligence and purpose. Their design was unlike anything the Council had seen before. The energy signatures matched the derelict vessels, Admiral Nethua reported. Whatever species built those ships is still out there, and they are coming this way. Commander Zark's mandibles clicked rapidly. How many objects have been detected? At least 50 large vessels, possibly more, Vextal replied. They are still too far away for detailed scans, but they will reach our outer systems within 6 months. The Council members exchanged worried glances. The galaxy had known peace for so long that they had almost forgotten what war looked like. Their combined fleets were designed for patrol duty and ceremonial displays, not actual combat. What do we know about their intentions? Lord Silix asked, his voice grinding like shifting stone. Nothing certain, Vextal admitted. But if the myths are true, if these are actually humans returning after eons of absence, then we must prepare for the impossible. Bright Star's energy form pulsed with nervous light. The legends say humans were unpredictable. They could be peaceful, traitors or terrible warriors, sometimes both at the same time. We must increase patrols in the outer systems, Commander Zark decided. The Vrak fleets will monitor the approaching vessels and report any changes in their behavior. Admiral Nethua agreed. The Nautiloid deep space stations will extend their sensor nets. We need more information before these unknown ships reach inhabited worlds. Lord Silix slowly turned his crystalline head toward each council member. The Chronari will strengthen the defensive networks around our core worlds. If conflict comes, we must be ready. The Lumina will enhance communication, links between all council species, Brightstar added. Coordination will be essential if we face a threat. Vextal nodded at each proposal. Then we are agreed. We will treat this as a potential first contact situation while preparing for the worst possible outcome. The elder Zephyrian paused as troubling thoughts touched his mind. The approaching ships carried an energy signature that felt familiar yet impossible. Deep in the racial memory of his people, something stirred, an ancient fear that had been buried for thousands of years. There is one more thing, Vextal said quietly. Our telepathic archives contain fragments of actual memories from the time before recorded history, images of creatures that match the human descriptions perfectly. The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. If humans had actually existed, if they had once walked among the stars, then their return would change everything. The myths spoke of a species that thrived on challenge and grew stronger through adversity. We must hope the stories of their peaceful nature are true, Admiral Nethua said, her tentacles trembling slightly, because the legends also speak of their terrible wrath when threatened. The council session ended with each species returning to their home worlds to prepare. None of them could have imagined that their actions would soon set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. In the darkness beyond the rim, the approaching ships continued their steady journey toward inhabited space, carrying with them the hopes and fears of an entire species thought lost to time. Captain Kyle Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching stars slowly shift position on the main screen. The exploration vessel had been traveling for 3 weeks since leaving the outer colonies, heading toward what their maps called the Galactic Core. Behind them lay 5 centuries of human history that the rest of the galaxy knew nothing about. Captain, we're receiving the final transmission from Earth Command, reported Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel as she decoded the encrypted message. Morrison walked over to read the orders on her screen. The message was simple but carried enormous weight. After 500 years of voluntary isolation, humanity was ready to return to galactic civilization. The Defiance and her crew would be the first to make contact with whatever species now controlled known space. Any word from the other exploration ships? Morrison asked, looking at the tactical display that showed friendly contacts scattered across several light years. The Horizon and the Pathfinder are maintaining their assigned courses, replied Navigation Officer Lisa Park. Captain Barnes reports no unusual contacts in his sector, and Captain White confirms the same for hers. Chief Engineer Danny Walsh looked up from his engineering console. Captain, all systems are running at optimal efficiency. The new fusion drives are performing better than expected. We could increase speed if needed. Morrison nodded but kept their current pace. Humanity had learned patience during the long years of isolation. When the plague had nearly destroyed their species, survivors had fled to the galactic rim to rebuild. They had spent centuries developing new technologies and healing old wounds that had once divided them. Dr. Kim, any updates on the probe analysis? Morrison called to the science station. Dr. Rachel Kim adjusted her instruments before responding. The automated probes we encountered yesterday definitely aren't human in origin. The technology is sophisticated, but follows design principles we haven't seen before. Whoever built them has a completely different approach to engineering. First Officer Jake Phillips joined Morrison at the center of the bridge. Sir, I've been reviewing our historical databases. The last records from before the Exodus mention several spacefaring species, but nothing that matches these probe designs. Morrison had expected this. 5 centuries was a long time for civilizations to rise and fall. The galaxy they were returning to would be very different from the one their ancestors had known. Ship's AI, what's your analysis of the probe network? Morrison addressed the artificial intelligence that helped run the vessel. Captain, the probes appear to be part of a larger surveillance system. The AI responded in its calm, neutral voice. Their activation patterns suggest they are reporting our presence to some central authority. Based on their distribution, this network covers a significant portion of space. This was concerning news. Humanity had hoped to make peaceful contact with galactic civilization, but flying into someone else's territory unannounced could be seen as hostile. Morrison made a decision that would affect everything that followed. Amy, prepare a broad-spectrum transmission. Standard peaceful contact protocols in every language in our database. Rodriguez worked at her station for several minutes before looking up. Ready, Captain. The message includes our identification, peaceful intentions, and a request for communication. Send it. The transmission raced ahead of the Defiance at light speed, carrying humanity's greeting to whatever intelligence controlled the probe network. Morrison hoped their message would be understood as peaceful, but he was prepared for other possibilities. Jake, bring the ship to yellow alert. Nothing aggressive, but I want all systems ready. Phillips nodded and began issuing orders. Throughout, the ship crew members moved to their stations. In the engineering section, Walsh ran final checks on all systems. In the medical bay, Dr. Susan Clark prepared for possible casualties. In the security office, Chief Ben Carter reviewed defensive protocols. The Defiance carried a crew of 200 humans from across the reformed colonies. Some had been born on Earth itself. Others came from the Mars settlements or the outer system stations. What united them was their shared purpose and the knowledge that they represented all of humanity in this crucial moment. Captain, we're detecting energy signatures ahead, reported Lisa Park. Multiple contacts moving on an intercept course. Morrison felt his heart rate increase but kept his voice steady. How many contacts? At least 6 vessels, possibly more. They're still at extreme range, but they're definitely coming our way. Combat. Vessels, Phillips asked, moving to the tactical station. Unknown, sir. Their design doesn't match anything in our databases, but they're large, and they're fast. Morrison made another crucial decision. All stop. Cut main engines and drift. Amy, transmit our peaceful intentions again. Add our current position and course data to show we're not trying to hide. The Defiance slowed to a stop, floating in space as the unknown vessels approached. On the bridge, tension filled the air as everyone waited to see how first contact would unfold. Sir, I'm detecting communication attempts, Rodriguez reported. They're using multiple frequencies and transmission methods. Some of it looks like our own protocols, but modified. Can you decode any of it? Partially. The computer is working on it, but it will take time. Morrison walked to the main screen, staring at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, alien minds were deciding humanity's fate. The species that had once explored these same stars had returned, but they were no longer the same people who had left. During the centuries of isolation, humans had learned hard lessons about cooperation and unity. The plague that nearly destroyed them had been caused by their own mistakes, their tendency to fight among themselves rather than work together. The survivors had sworn never to repeat those errors. "Captain, the AI has completed its analysis of our historical records," Dr. Kim announced. "Before the Exodus, humans had a reputation among other species. We were known for being adaptable, but unpredictable. Some saw us as useful allies. Others viewed us as dangerous wildcards." This information gave Morrison pause. "What kind of reputation exactly?" "Mixed, sir. Humans were respected for their problem-solving abilities and their refusal to give up when faced with challenges, but we were also feared for our capacity for violence when threatened. Other species found us difficult to understand." Jake Phillips frowned. "That could complicate first contact. If they remember humans as unpredictable or dangerous, they might not trust our peaceful intentions." Morrison considered this as the unknown vessels continued their approach. "Dr. Kim, what makes humans different from other species?" "Based on our studies, sir, most spacefaring species evolved on worlds with relatively stable environments. They developed specialized traits that worked well in their home conditions. Humans evolved on a world of extremes, which made us generalists rather than specialists. Meaning, we can adapt to almost any situation, but we don't excel in any single area. Other species might be stronger, smarter, or more technologically advanced, but they're usually limited to their areas of expertise. Humans can learn and change to match whatever challenges they face. This explained why humans had survived the plague when it might have destroyed other species. They had adapted, changed their behavior, and found new ways to live. But it also meant they were fundamentally different from species that preferred stability and predictability. "Contact in 30 minutes, Lisa Park announced. Morrison returned to his command chair and activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is the captain. In a few minutes, we will make first contact with an alien species. This moment represents not just our return to galactic civilization, but humanity's chance to prove we have learned from our mistakes." Throughout the ship, crew members listened to their captain's words. "We are no longer the divided, quarrelsome species that left known space 5 centuries ago. We have spent those years learning to work together, to solve problems through cooperation rather than conflict. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity has become." Morrison closed the channel and looked around his bridge crew. Each face showed determination, mixed with nervousness. They all understood the weight of responsibility they carried. "Sir, the lead vessel is hailing us," Amy Rodriguez reported. "I'm getting a translation now." The main screen flickered and suddenly showed an alien face. The creature had compound eyes, mandible-like mouthparts, and a hard, shell-like exterior. When it spoke, the translation system converted its clicks and buzzes into understandable words. "Unknown vessel, you will identify yourself immediately. You are trespassing in Vrak collective territory." Morrison stood and faced the screen. "This is Captain Kyle Morrison of the United Earth ship Defiance. We are explorers from the human colonies, seeking peaceful contact with galactic civilization." The alien's compound eyes seemed to focus more intently on Morrison. There was a long pause before it responded, and when it did, its voice carried a note of disbelief. "Human. You claim to be human. That is correct." Another pause, longer this time. Morrison could see the alien consulting with others off-screen. When it turned back, its entire demeanor had changed. "Maintain your current position. Do not move. Do not power weapons. We are transmitting this encounter to our command authority." Commander Thektar stood in the control center of his flagship, watching the unknown vessel on his tactical display. 3 Vrak warships surrounded the strange craft, their weapons powered but not yet targeting. In his 30 years of military service, Thektar had never encountered anything like this situation. "Commander, the vessel continues to transmit peaceful intentions," reported his communication officer. "They claim to be human explorers from something called the United Earth. Ship Defiance. Thektar's mandibles clicked together in confusion. Every Vrak child knew the stories of humans from their earliest education. They were creatures of legend, beings who supposedly lived before recorded history. Yet the ship before him was undeniably real, and its occupants spoke with voices that matched the ancient descriptions perfectly. "Scan their vessel again," Thektar ordered. "I want detailed analysis of their technology and crew composition." His science officer worked at her station for several minutes before looking up with concern. "Commander, their technology is unlike anything in our databases. The ship appears to be powered by controlled fusion reactions, but the design principles are completely foreign to us." On the main screen, the human vessel drifted silently in space. It was smaller than a Vrak warship, but carried itself with quiet confidence. The hull was smooth metal with strange markings along the sides. Lights glowed from numerous windows, suggesting a large crew inside. "What about their weapons?" Thektar asked. "That's what concerns me, sir. They don't appear to have energy weapons at all. Our scans detect what look like projectile launchers and chemical explosive systems. Primitive by our standards, but arranged in patterns that suggest sophisticated, tactical thinking." Thektar studied the readings with growing unease. Vrak military doctrine was based on energy shields and plasma weapons. Their ships were designed to fight other vessels using similar technology. The human approach was so different that their standard defensive systems might not work effectively against it. "Commander, we're receiving another transmission from the human vessel," the communication officer announced. The main screen changed to show the human captain again. Thektar noticed details he had missed before. The human's skin was pale with dark hair, and his eyes moved constantly as they assessed the situation. There was intelligence there, but also something else. Determination mixed with curiosity. "Commander Thektar, I hope we can resolve this situation peacefully," Captain Morrison said. "We have no hostile intentions toward your people or your territory." Thektar activated his own transmission system. "Captain Morrison, your claim to be human is impossible. Humans are creatures of myth, stories told to children about beings who lived in ancient times." Morrison seemed surprised by this response. "Commander, I assure you that humans are very real. We have been absent from this region of space for approximately 5 centuries, but we are certainly not mythical." "Prove it," Thektar challenged. What happened next would be discussed in Vrak. Military academies for generations to come. Instead of becoming angry or defensive, Captain Morrison simply nodded and began demonstrating human capabilities that matched the ancient legends perfectly. "Lisa, show them our navigation system," Morrison said to someone off-screen. The transmission split to show multiple views of the human bridge. Thektar watched as human crew members worked at control stations using technology that operated on completely different principles from anything he knew. Their computers used binary logic systems rather than quantum processors. Their displays showed flat images instead of holographic projections. "Commander, our people have been exploring space for over 600 years, Morrison explained. "We've learned to adapt our technology to work in any environment. Our ships are built to be repaired and modified using whatever materials are available." To demonstrate this, Chief Engineer Danny Walsh appeared on screen holding a piece of equipment that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts. "This is a backup life support unit I built yesterday using components from 3 different systems. On human ships, everything can be adapted for multiple purposes." Thektar's compound eyes focused on the device. Vrak technology was precise and standardized. Each component had a specific function and could not be used for anything else. The human approach seemed chaotic, but it also appeared to be incredibly flexible. "That is impossible," Thektar's science officer whispered. "How can systems function reliably if they are constantly being modified?" Morrison seemed to hear the comment. "We've learned that reliability comes from adaptability rather than perfection. Our systems are designed to keep working even when parts fail or conditions change." The human captain paused, then made a decision that surprised everyone. "Commander, would you be willing to allow a small group of your people to visit our ship? We can demonstrate our peaceful intentions and answer your questions directly." Thektar's tactical officer immediately protested. Commander, that could be a trap. We know nothing about their true capabilities. But Thektar was curious. The legend spoke of humans as beings who could form connections across species barriers. If these were truly humans, then perhaps direct contact would provide answers that scanning could not. I will come aboard your vessel myself, Thektar decided, with 2 of my officers for security. Commander, that's extremely dangerous, his tactical officer warned. Perhaps, Thektar replied. But if these are humans, then the danger of not understanding them may be even greater. An hour later, Thektar found himself in a docking bay aboard the human ship. The first thing he noticed was the smell. Every spacefaring species had a distinct scent, but humans smelled like nothing in his experience. It was organic but not unpleasant, mixed with metallic odors from their technology. Captain Morrison met them personally, along with several other humans. Thektar noticed immediately that humans were smaller than Vrak, but moved with fluid grace. Their faces were mobile and expressive, showing emotions clearly. "Welcome aboard the Defiance," Morrison said. "This is my first officer, Jake Phillips, Chief Engineer Danny Walsh, and Dr. Rachel Kim, our xenobiologist." The human called Dr. Kim stepped forward. "Commander Thektar, we're honored to meet representatives of the Vrak Collective. We've never encountered your species before, but we're eager to learn about your civilization." What struck Thektar most was the genuine curiosity in her voice. Humans seemed naturally interested in other species, rather than being suspicious or afraid. This matched the legends that spoke of their ability to find common ground with anyone. "Your technology is unlike anything we have studied," Thektar admitted. "Our scientists cannot understand how your systems function," Chief Engineer Walsh grinned. "Would you like to see our engineering section? I can show you how we approach spacecraft design." For the next 2 hours, Thektar and his officers toured the human vessel. What they saw challenged everything they thought they knew about space technology. Human systems were modular and redundant, designed to be repaired by the crew using basic tools. Their computers used simple logic circuits instead of quantum processors, but they were programmed with adaptive software that could learn and evolve. "We've learned that complex problems often have simple solutions," Walsh explained as he showed them a fusion reactor that was half the size of comparable Vrak systems, but produced more power. "Instead of making our technology more complicated, we try to make it more clever." Dr. Kim demonstrated their communication systems by speaking several different languages, including some that sounded similar to ancient Vrak dialects. "Humans have always been good at learning languages. We find patterns and adapt quickly to new forms of communication." What amazed Thektar most was the ship's medical bay. Dr. Susan Clark showed them equipment that could treat injuries to virtually any type of biological system. "We designed our medical technology to work on humans, but the principles apply to most carbon-based life forms. With minor adjustments, we could probably treat Vrak injuries as well." This was unprecedented. Most species developed medical technology that worked only for their own biology. The human approach was broad enough to help other species, which suggested a fundamental difference in how they thought about problems. "Commander, there's something else you should see," Captain Morrison said, leading them to a large window that looked out into space. Through the transparent material, Thektar could see his own warships maintaining their positions around the human vessel. But he also noticed something that made his carapace tingle with surprise. Small maintenance pods from the human ship were working near the Vrak vessels, apparently conducting some kind of repairs. "What are your people doing?" Thektar demanded. Morrison smiled. "Your ships have some minor damage from prolonged patrol duty. Our engineers noticed stress fractures in your hull plating and decided to help. It's a gesture of friendship. You're repairing our warships. With your permission, yes. Our people enjoy solving technical problems, and helping others is part of human nature." Thektar watched through the window as human maintenance workers used welding tools to repair microfractures in Vrak armor plating. His own engineers had been planning to address those same problems during their next scheduled maintenance. Period. This is most unusual, Thektar admitted. Most species would not offer assistance to potential enemies. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 12 hours after Commander Thektar's report reached Vrak Command. Elder Vextal materialized in the crystal chamber alongside representatives from all 5 major species, their faces showing mixtures of excitement and fear. The impossible has been confirmed, Vextal announced without ceremony. Humans exist and they have returned to known space. Admiral Nethua's tentacles writhed in her water tank as she spoke. The Vrak report describes beings that match our ancient legends perfectly. Adaptable technology, rapid problem-solving abilities, and an unusual capacity for cross-species cooperation. Commander Zark's mandibles clicked rapidly, but also unpredictable and potentially dangerous. The human vessel carries weapons that our defensive systems are not designed to counter. Lord Silex's crystalline form rang softly as he shifted position. Their technology operates on principles we do not understand. This makes them either valuable allies or terrible enemies. Brightstar's energy form pulsed with nervous light. Our deep space sensors have detected additional human vessels throughout the outer territories. This was not a single ship but part of a larger fleet. The implications were staggering. For 5 centuries, the galaxy had developed under the assumption that humans were extinct or mythical. Suddenly discovering they were not only real but present in significant numbers changed everything. How many ships? Vextal asked. At least 20 exploration vessels confirmed, Brightstar replied. But our sensors also detect energy signatures suggesting larger vessels beyond scanner range. The humans may have an entire fleet hidden in the outer darkness. On Earth, similar emergency meetings were taking place. President Helen Burke stood in the Situation Room of Global Command, surrounded by representatives from every human world. The holographic displays around the room showed positions of human exploration ships throughout what they now knew was alien territory. The Defiance has made successful contact with a species called the Vrak Collective, reported Admiral Sam Foster, commander of Earth Space Forces. Captain Morrison describes them as insectoid, but intelligent and reasonable. What about their reaction to our presence? President Burke asked. Mixed, ma'am. They seem surprised that humans exist, which suggests we've become something of a legend during our absence. The good news is that they're not immediately hostile. Defense Secretary Patricia Webb pulled up tactical displays. Our other exploration ships are reporting similar contacts throughout the region. The Horizon encountered what they call nautiloids, aquatic beings with advanced technology. The Pathfinder made contact with energy creatures called Lumina President. Burke studied the reports with growing concern. It sounds like we've wandered into someone else's territory. What are the chances of peaceful resolution? Good, if we handle this correctly, Admiral Foster replied. Our crews report that these species seem more curious than aggressive, but there are also signs of military mobilization across their space. General Robert Hayes, commander of Colonial Defense Forces, highlighted areas on the tactical display. Ma'am, our long-range sensors are detecting fleet movements throughout this region. Multiple species are moving warships toward our exploration routes. The President made a decision that would echo through history. Admiral Foster, I'm authorizing the assembly of the Human Expeditionary Fleet. Not for war, but to show that we're prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. Yes, ma'am. How large a force? Everything we can spare without leaving our colonies. Defenseless. This is humanity's return to galactic civilization. We need to make the right impression. Within hours, ships from across human space began converging on the rendezvous point beyond Pluto. The fleet that assembled was unlike anything seen in the galaxy for centuries. Human vessels came in dozens of different designs, each reflecting the unique needs and resources of their home worlds. Captain Roger Hayes commanded the heavy cruiser UES Thunderbolt, one of the most powerful warships in the human fleet. His vessel had been built in the asteroid shipyards using materials mined from the belt itself. The ship's armor was thick and practical, designed to survive in the harsh environment of deep space. Captain, the new Mars squadron is taking position on our starboard flank, reported Lieutenant Susan Clark from the navigation station. Admiral Foster signals that the fleet will be complete within 6 hours. Hayes studied the tactical display showing human ships arriving from every direction. Unlike alien fleets that used standardized designs, the human formation looked chaotic, but purposeful. Each ship brought unique capabilities developed during centuries of isolation. "What's our ship count?" Hayes asked. 47 vessels confirmed, sir. Battleships from the Titan yards, carriers from Luna, destroyers from the outer colonies, and support ships from everywhere else. The diversity was humanity's strength and weakness. During the isolation years, each human world had developed its own approach to spacecraft design. Earth built ships for exploration and diplomacy. Mars focused on heavily armored vessels for asteroid mining. The outer colonies created fast, agile ships for long-range patrol. "Captain, incoming transmission from the flagship," Clark announced. "Admiral." Foster's face appeared on the main screen. "All ships, this is Admiral Foster aboard the UES Constitution. We are about to undertake humanity's return to galactic civilization. Our mission is to demonstrate that humans are peaceful, but prepared to defend themselves." The Admiral paused, looking directly at each ship's crew through their screens. "Intelligence reports suggest that we have become legendary figures during our absence. Other species remember humans as unpredictable and potentially dangerous. We must prove that we have grown beyond our past reputation." Hayes nodded along with the Admiral's words. Humanity had indeed changed during the isolation years. The plague that nearly destroyed them had taught hard lessons about cooperation and unity. The survivors had built a civilization based on working together, rather than competing against each other. "Our exploration ships report that alien military forces are mobilizing throughout this region," Admiral Foster continued. "They may see our return as a threat. Our job is to show them that humans are partners, not conquerors." Meanwhile, in the crystal chamber of the Galactic Council, the debate continued. Commander Zark presented tactical assessments that made everyone uncomfortable. "The human exploration vessels demonstrate capabilities that concern our military analysts," he reported. "Their technology is primitive by our standards, but it's also incredibly robust. Their ships can operate in conditions that would disable our vessels." Elder Vextol pulled up holographic displays showing human ship designs. "Our scientists cannot understand how their systems function. They use simple materials and basic principles, but achieve results that match or exceed our own technology." Admiral Nethwa's tentacles curled with worry. "The legends speak of human unpredictability. They might be peaceful explorers today and aggressive conquerors tomorrow." "That is exactly what concerns me," Lord Silex added, his crystal form chiming softly. "Human adaptability makes them impossible to predict or control." Brightstar pulsed with anxious energy. "Our deep space monitors have detected a large human fleet assembling beyond the galactic rim. Military vessels, not exploration ships." This news sent waves of concern through the Council. The peaceful contact with individual human ships was one thing, but a military fleet suggested different intentions entirely. "How large a fleet?" Vextol asked. "At least 50 vessels, possibly more. Their energy signatures indicate combat-capable ships with weapons and armor." Commander Zark's compound eyes focused on the tactical data. "A fleet that size could threaten any single member species. If the humans choose to be aggressive, none of us could stop them alone." The Council faced a dilemma that would have been impossible a day earlier. Humanity's return forced them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about galactic politics. For 3,000 years, they had maintained peace through careful balance between species. The sudden appearance of a new player changed that equation completely. "What do we know about their intentions?" Admiral Nethwa asked. "The individual contacts have been peaceful," Vextol admitted, "but the assembly of a military fleet suggests they are prepared for conflict." Lord Silex's crystalline form shifted position. "Perhaps they are simply being cautious. If I were entering unknown territory, I would also bring military escort." Brightstar's energy form flickered with uncertainty. "The question is whether we should meet them with diplomacy or force." Back on the UES Constitution, Admiral Foster received reports from human exploration ships throughout the region. The news was mixed but encouraging. Most alien contacts had been peaceful, but there were signs of growing military preparation on both sides. Admiral, the Defiance reports continued cooperation with VRAC forces, reported Intelligence Officer Susan Brown. They're sharing technical information and working on joint projects. What about the other contacts? The Horizon has established communication with Nautiloid Command. They seem interested in human underwater technology. The Pathfinder is working, with the Lumina on energy transmission systems. Foster smiled slightly. This was humanity at its best, finding ways to cooperate and share knowledge with completely alien species. The two fleets faced each other across 1,000,000 kilometers of empty space. Admiral Sam Foster stood on the bridge of the UES Constitution, watching the largest gathering of military vessels in recorded galactic history. 200 alien ships formed precise formations that spoke of centuries of coordinated military doctrine. Against them, 50 human vessels spread across space in patterns that looked chaotic but served specific tactical purposes. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet, reported Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez. They're requesting immediate communication with our commanding officer. Foster straightened his uniform and checked his appearance, in the reflection on his command screen. This moment would be remembered for as long as humans traveled among the stars. Put them through. The main screen filled with multiple alien faces representing the 5 species of the Galactic Council. Foster recognized some of them from intelligence briefings based on reports from the exploration ships. Elder Vextal of the Zephyrians took the central position, his tall, graceful form commanding attention. I am Admiral Sam Foster, commanding the Human Expeditionary Fleet, Foster announced. We come in peace, seeking to re-establish humanity's place in galactic civilization. Elder Vextal's large eyes studied Foster carefully before responding. Admiral Foster, I am Elder Vextal, speaking for the Galactic Council. Your return has caused great concern among our member species. We understand that our reappearance after 5 centuries might be unexpected, Foster replied diplomatically. We hope to address any concerns through peaceful dialogue, High Admiral. Morden of the Nautiloids spoke next, his translated voice bubbling through his aquatic environment. Admiral, your legends speak of human unpredictability and capacity for both creation and destruction. How can we trust that your intentions are peaceful? Foster had prepared for this question. Admiral Morden, humanity has spent 5 centuries learning from our past mistakes. The species that left known space was divided and often violent. The species that has returned values cooperation above conflict. Commander Zark of the Vrak Collective leaned forward. Yet you approach us with a military fleet. Your actions suggest preparation for war. Would you enter unknown territory without protection? Foster countered. We brought military escort because we didn't know what we might find. We hoped for friends, but prepared for enemies, the alien. Representatives exchanged glances that spoke of private communications between their ships. Foster waited patiently, knowing that humanity's future depended on the next few minutes of conversation. Lord Silix of the Cronery spoke in his grinding stone voice. Human Admiral, our legends describe your species as masters of adaptation. How do we know you will not adapt to become conquerors when it suits your purposes? Foster smiled, recognizing an opportunity to demonstrate exactly what humanity had become. Lord Silix, may I show you something that I think will answer your question better than words? Without waiting for permission, Foster activated his ship's communication system. All human vessels, this is Admiral Foster, implement Protocol 7 across. The human fleet, something unprecedented began to happen. Ships that had been maintaining military formations suddenly changed their behavior. Engineering vessels moved to positions between the military ships. Medical vessels activated emergency beacons. Supply ships began transmitting inventories of food, medicine, and repair materials. What are you doing? Bright Star of the Lumina asked, her energy form pulsing with confusion. We're showing you what makes humans different, Foster explained. Admiral Morden, your deep space sensors will show that our engineering ships are now positioned to provide assistance to any vessel in this area that needs help, including yours. Foster paused as the alien commanders verified his claim. Lord Silix, Our medical vessels are broadcasting treatment protocols that could help any injured personnel from any species. Elder Vextile, our supply ships are offering to share resources with anyone who needs them. The transformation was complete. What had looked like a military fleet preparing for battle now resembled a massive humanitarian mission. The human ships maintained their defensive capabilities, but had openly declared their primary purpose as helping rather than fighting. "This is impossible," Commander Zark said. "Military vessels cannot simply become aid ships." "Human vessels can," Foster replied. "We design our ships to serve multiple purposes. Every military vessel in our fleet can become a rescue ship, a medical facility, or a supply depot as needed. This is how humans approach problems. We adapt to meet the situation." Dr. Rachel Kim appeared on screen from the exploration ship Defiance. "Elder Vextile, during our isolation years, humanity learned that survival depends on cooperation. We built our entire civilization around the principle of helping each other." Captain Kyle Morrison joined the transmission from his position near the Vrak fleet. "Commander Zark, your people have worked with us for several days now. Have we shown any signs of aggression or deception?" Zark's compound eyes seemed to focus on something off-screen before he responded. "No, Captain Morrison. Your crew has been helpful and honest in all interactions." Foster seized on this opening. "That is what humanity offers the galaxy. Not conquest or domination, but partnership and mutual aid. We've learned that everyone benefits when we work together." Elder Vextile consulted with the other council members through their private communication channels. When he turned back to the screen, his expression had changed from suspicion to curiosity. "Admiral Foster, your demonstration is impressive, but words and actions can be deceiving. How can we verify that humanity has truly changed?" Foster had hoped for this question. "Elder Vextile, I propose a test. Choose any problem that currently challenges the Galactic Council. Give us the opportunity to help solve it. Judge us by our results rather than our reputation." The council members exchanged rapid communications before Brightstar spoke. "There is a matter that has troubled us for months. A plague has broken out among the Vekani, a minor species in our territory. Our best scientists cannot find a cure and thousands are dying. The plague affects their neural systems in ways we do not understand," Admiral Morton added. "It is beyond our medical knowledge." Dr. Susan Clark from the human medical ship UES Mercy joined the transmission. "Admiral Foster, request permission to assist with this medical crisis." Foster nodded. "Elder Vextile, we offer the services of our medical teams to help with this plague. We ask nothing in return except the chance to prove our peaceful intentions." Daibur, alien representatives conferred for several minutes before Elder Vextile responded. "Very well, Admiral Foster. We will allow your medical teams to attempt treatment of the Vekani plague, but our fleets will remain on alert." "Understood," Foster replied. "How long do we have?" "The plague spreads rapidly. Without intervention, the Vekani civilization will be extinct within weeks." What happened next became legendary throughout the galaxy. Human medical ships raced to the Vekani homeworld, while researchers from multiple vessels collaborated on understanding the plague. The approach they took was uniquely human. Instead of trying to develop a perfect solution, they tried dozens of different treatments simultaneously. Dr. Clark coordinated the effort from her ship, while human medical teams worked alongside alien scientists on the planet's surface. The breakthrough came when human researchers realized that the plague wasn't actually a disease, but an autoimmune reaction triggered by exposure to certain quantum frequencies. The Vekani nervous systems are attacking themselves, Dr. Clark reported to the assembled fleets. "It's not a biological pathogen, but a technological one. Something in their environment is causing their own immune systems to malfunction." Human engineers identified the source: a new type of quantum communication array that the Vekani had recently installed. The frequency resonance was triggering neurological damage. The solution was simple once the cause was understood: adjust the communication arrays to use different quantum frequencies. Within 72 hours, the plague was stopped, and the affected Vekani began recovering. The speed and effectiveness of the human response amazed the alien observers. But what impressed them more was how the humans worked, sharing information freely, trying multiple approaches, and adapting quickly when one method didn't work. Your people saved an entire civilization in 3 days, Elder Vextel said during the follow-up communication. Our best efforts over months had achieved nothing. Foster felt proud but kept his response humble. We had advantages that your people lacked. Fresh perspectives and different approaches to problem solving. This is what humans can contribute to galactic civilization. Admiral Morden's tentacles moved in what humans learned was a gesture of respect among nautiloids. Your species has indeed changed from the legends. You are healers rather than destroyers. Commander Zark clicked his mandibles in agreement. The Vrak Collective would be honored to work with humanity on future challenges. Lord Silex's crystal form chimed with harmonious tones. The Kronari offer to share our technological knowledge with human scientists. Brightstar's energy form pulsed with warm colors. The Lumina welcome humanity back to the galactic community. The formal ceremonies that followed established humanity as the 6th member of the Galactic Council,